climber. In September, I went to the 6th annual Nashville Songwriter Awards, and not only did I get to hear some of the best songs of the year, I also took notes, and I have some great takeaways to help you on your songwriting journey. So listen up. Johnny, you know what to do.
Welcome to the Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business, guys. We want you to get ahead. This podcast exists because we want you to win. If you want to win, you're going to have leverage way more than your talent. 10% talent, 90% leverage. That's the deal. That's why we call it the Climb. C.L.I.M.B. Creating leverage in the music business. That's a backstream from my good friend and co-host who, not surprisingly, is a lyricist and a hit songwriter, Brent Baxter. He's got cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. He's got number ones in Southern Gospel. He's got top 10s on Australian radio. He's got top 20s in Texas radio. He's nationwide, worldwide. He's the man. But what's important to you is that he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how to write like a pro, by telling you how to do business like a pro. And then when you got all that machinery working, it's time to have some relationships to take it to the next level. He takes care of that too. Gets you right in front of the pros. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com.
And I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
The takeover.
The takeover, it's rapidly approaching. See, this episode is on when is it?
Writers Night Takeover.
That's right.
Coming up. I feel like it's a week away, right?
It is. At the time you hear this, it is less than a week away. This should drop on October 17th. The takeover is on October 23rd. Okay. And so it is less than a week away by the time you hear this, from 7 to 11 at Live Oak on Demumbrian Hill in Nashville, Tennessee. Band starts at 6 to 7, and then the rounds start from 7 to 11. We got climbing, we got climbers, we got hit songwriters. We're going to have a good time.
It's going to be good, man. I mean, we got like major hit songwriters, right? Barrett Baber, Scott Sean White. We've got Marla Cannon Goodman. We've got Steve Leslie now, who's on board.
Yes.
We've got
rising artists like Kaylee Bishop, Chelsea Stalling,
David Brainerd, like renowned record producer, songwriter, musician extraordinaire. Jared Neiman produced the 12 Stories record for Brandy Clark, which is just like next level stuff. He's going to be there.
We got my brother-in-law, Matt Klein, who's had several cuts by Ray Stevens and Andy Griggs too, and other people, but Ray Stevens. So he's got some new stuff coming out. I wrote a song with him about a Chinese buffet. Be coming out soon. He's got a new song and video coming out soon about Sasquatch. So you can come on out, hear some of that too.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Meet some good people. Make some relationships, guys. This is going to be what you call a target-rich environment.
That's right.
You come in, hang out, grab some food, grab a cocktail, listen to some good music, make some new friends, and expand your Rolodex.
That's right.
In Nashville, it's worth the drive. Come in, hang out, spend the night. Okay.
And come say hi to us. That's right.
So I love it. Let's make sure you follow the podcast. Make sure you tell a friend about it. And we're going to celebrate some wins right now for New Heights.
That's right.
We want you to join the Climb community. So where do you find New Heights? In the Climb community. Go to facebook.com/groups/the Climb community. And you have to ask to be let in. We let everybody in. Okay. And unless you look shady, and I don't mean by how you look. I mean, how does your account look? Like if it's brand new or something weird on it, or, if it looks like you're trying to sell siding or,
right.
if you're a hooker, like not going to happen. But
Right.
man, if I can tell you're a musician, I can tell you're a songwriter, then you're in, right?
You're good to go. Yeah.
And great community, man. It's growing. This is, I mean, like well over 1,500 uh, musicians, indie artists, singers, songwriters, indie
Mhm.
songwriter, just like you. Everybody's got everybody else's back, lots of support, and we want to hear about everything. Want to hear about your new gigs, man. Post it in a comment on that post that happens every Thursday. We want to hear about your new music. Put your links to your new music video or the thing you just released on Spotify in a comment on the Monday post. And then Wednesday, we want to hear about your wins, man. Like
Mhm.
what's the latest win you had? No matter how big or how small, we want to hear about it so we can celebrate you and we read them on the air. So let's talk about this New Heights Wednesday wins.
That's right. So this is where the party is. So if you want to make some connections, share your wins, this is one of the posts where you is most active in there. So you can go in there. How do you people give them high fives, all that good stuff. It's good for them. It's good for you. So a couple of the wins we have this week, because there are too many to list all of them. This is from climber Daniel Kent Peterson. He said, here in Utah, my brother David Kent Peterson and I just won a local LDSPMA Spark Award for this song. He provides a link to it, which is totally appropriate, and we encourage that. This song is called Face This Down, so it's the official lyric video. So congrats, Daniel
Nice.
and David. We also have climber Tracy Richardson said, had a bunch of business meetings in Nashville this past week, but the best part was attending the NSAI Songwriter Awards, the topic of today's podcast. So inspiring. Saying it out loud, my goal is to have a song in the 10 songs I wish I'd written list someday. So, Tracy, I completely relate to the inspiring part and support your goal of getting one in the 10 I wish I'd written. It's a fun award, as I point behind me.
You might know. Somebody
I might
knows.
know a little something about that. No, it's but yeah, so that's great. Unfortunately, the not win for me from that event is I didn't run into Tracy Richardson. I know she was there, but I didn't lay eyes on her. I didn't see her. We missed each other somehow, so that makes me sad. But I got to see some other climbers out there like Elizabeth Eckert and Sunday Joe Graham, so that was good.
Good.
But yeah, so those are some of the wins. So congrats, y'all. Keep on climbing.
Good. Well, let's start talking about the awards show here. What'd you
Yeah.
learn?
So NSAI hosted the Nashville Songwriter Awards, and it was at the Ryman Auditorium, and it was an absolute blast. Not only are these events really inspiring, as Tracy said, but they're also educational. So I want to share just some of my takeaways with you, dear climber. My first takeaway is that it is worth the investment. It was to me. And now these events are not free. It's a ticketed event. Uh, so what did I? It's in the three figures. But what did I get for my money? First of all, I got a ton of inspiration. And by the way, NSA is not paying me to promote like next year's or anything like that. This is just how I feel.
Yeah.
So this is not a
Insane.
paid advertisement. It's an unpaid advertisement just because I had a good time. So first of all, I got a ton of inspiration from it. Man, hearing those great songs on that amazing stage was awesome, right? So if you don't leave there inspired, check your freaking pulse because you probably did. And it leaves me both inspired and fired up to write more songs. Just funny, I was sitting next to Bridget Tatum
Mhm.
in the Ryman there, so it just happened to that's the tickets fell that way, right? So we're talking, and I kind of joked with her that like I just might kill my songwriters tomorrow. Might just walk in and explode songwriting all over them. Like I was so fired up, to
Yeah.
write something great the next day. And sure enough, the next day I wrote something pretty good. But yeah, so you leave totally inspired, which is worth a lot. We talk on this show every once in a while about just trying to, we talk a lot about the business. But man, it's important to keep the love and the innocence and just the passion for what you do. And for me, nights like that are that. It just reconnects me like, dadgum, I love this. I love this
Reminds you
business.
about why you're
I love the
inspired.
people. I love the music. I want to go write some music, And so, I mean,
Yeah.
it's easy for a guy like me to stay focused because it pays the bills. And so it's what I do. But still to kind of come back to just the inspiration of it and love and just kind of reconnect with some of that stuff is super fun and super important.
On that
Mhm.
note, to add to that, I forget where I read this, Um, but it was a producer that was telling an artist who was just like, "Man, I got writer's block. I'm having a hard time. I don't know what to do."
Mhm.
And the producer said this. He's like, "Put together a CD
Mhm.
of all of your favorite songs, like from when you were a kid, that turned you on to wanting to be an artist. You know,
Mhm.
and put that all in one CD and just keep listening to it on repeat. And
Yeah.
you're gonna remember, it's gonna take you back to the root, and you're gonna remember, like, it's gonna bring you back to that innocence that you're talking
Yeah.
about, back to that place where you're like, "This is just what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it," and it's gonna open everything up. And it's kinda like going to that awards show is like that, you know? I mean, you
Oh, yeah.
see all the stuff, you're around that energy,
Mhm.
the all those people, you know, doing that, making miracles happen. I mean, sat next to Bridget Tatum, good lord. She wrote a big number 1 for Jason Aldean, She's Country.
Mhm.
Um, you know, it's just like you can't help but absorb that like a sponge and get all excited, you know?
Yeah.
No matter what class you're in, no matter what level you're at, you know?
That's right, that's right. The other reason I went and I actually built this Nashville trip around this event, that's why I came into Nashville that week, is like we like to say, it's a target-rich environment. I knew I'd run into a lot of friends there, I knew I'd run into a lot of co-writers there, and I did. So, I saw folks I haven't seen in person in, like, a year, you know,
Mhm.
or a decade. Some of those like, "Oh my gosh, last time we wrote was like 15, 16 years ago, and last time we saw each other was like 10 years ago." So you get
Wow.
some of that. So I got to catch up with the old co-writers. I got to howdy at some publishers that I'm talking to and just, getting to know better. I got to connect with climbers and songwriting pro members like I mentioned Sunday Joe and Elizabeth Eckert. And again, sorry I miss you, Tracy Richardson. Don't let that happen again. Um, Plus, you know, I just happened to have a seat next, just went in and bought my ticket online, right? So I bought my ticket and I just picked a spot, like, okay, there's a spot. And so I went and I sat down and like 2 seats over, there were a couple empty seats on the pew. And this guy's like, "You a BMG?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "You?" He goes, "Yeah, I just wonder if this is like a BMG kind of row." Anyway, just got to talking, and he's a Texas artist and songwriter for BMG, staff songwriter, Drew Kennedy, and he's super cool. So we just chatted it up. I'm like, "Oh, I'm a writer. I know BMG, but blah blah blah." And so we Instagrammed each other, whatever. So we just connected, and super cool dude. And so I've gone and listened to his music and stuff. It's really cool, and so there's like a little seed of a connection there that
Mhm.
I need to follow up with. But just a good, just a good hang. So I'm sitting there, and then the show's starting to start, and then some people come in. I'm like, "Oh, okay, gonna have somebody sit next to me," and sure enough, Bridget Tatum and Emma Zink.
Yeah.
So, or have this seats right next to me, and which is great
I
because
love them both. Yeah.
I haven't seen Bridget since like literally a year at the National Nights International Songwriters Festival in Unsa,
Yeah.
Denmark. So last
When
time I
we
saw
interviewed
Bridget,
him.
yeah, we interviewed him. Last time I saw Bridget in person was in the airport on the way home, and I don't think I've seen her in person since. So it was like, oh my gosh, hugging necks, and of course, same with Emma. I hadn't seen her in a year since Denmark, and we interviewed him and everything last year. Um, so I was like, oh, that's a bonus. It's always great to meet new people, but you just never know. But it was even better to reconnect with people I already like. And so, Bridget and I she sat next to me. So we just chit chatted during the show and, played the part of the cranky old man in the balcony at the Muppet Show or whatever from time to time. And, or being, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. I'm done now, that kind of stuff. So it was great. It was a good opportunity to make some new relationships, plant some seeds, and then to strengthen existing relationships. So that's
Yep.
just the
A
stuff
good place to be
around.
seen, a good place to be seen.
Yeah, and don't think I didn't wear my tall boots and my right hat so people could so I'm
Yeah.
easy to find, you
Yeah.
know? I wear a
I
big
mean,
white
just
hat.
just being in that environment, right, like, is more professional, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's like, oh, well worth the money, right? Because it's like you're running into these people and they're like, "Oh, you must be serious, like, you're here."
yeah, you're here.
You
Yeah,
know? So, it's a different, you go into a different pile, I think, in a
yeah.
situation like that.
So it was a lot of fun. I guess now on to the show itself. So I got my little guide here. And so what they do, the National Songwriter Awards used to be in conjunction with the Hall of Fame awards or induction ceremony. They used to do them all together, and now they've split them apart. So the Hall of Fame National Songwriters Hall of Fame is its own incredible night. Johnny, you and I've been to one together.
Mhm.
The last one I went to was with you and Chelsea, and
Yep.
that is an amazing, amazing night. And then now that this is my second National Songwriter Award. So NSAI hosts this one, and it's also an amazing night. When they split them up, one of the cool thing they started doing was, before you had the 10 songs I wish I'd written, and they'd call the names out, and you get to go up there and you get your plaque, and get picture and all that stuff, and that's super cool. I actually have one of those. So from Monday Morning Church, like in 2005 or so, that was
Nice.
the first one of those awards I went to, was because I was getting one of those. I was like, it blew my doors off. This is an amazing night. Even if I were just, in the back row, whatever, it was amazing. But since they have their own show now, what they started doing is having all the 10 songs I wish I'd written performed live by the writers
Nice.
and maybe the artist or some configuration of the two, which is amazing. Makes me think, like, what would I have done? Well, Brandon Kenny, or no, Emily or Aaron Enderlin would have sung Monday Morning Church. I'd have been off the hook. Maybe I'd have been in the back playing shaker or something. I don't know, but Aaron would have handled that. You don't want me near a microphone. You barely want me near a microphone for this. But anyway, so the 10 songs I wish I'd written are voted on by the professional members of NSAI. So like once a year, I get a ballot that's like the long list of songs that have been released this year in Christian and in country and some pop and stuff, just anything that's kind of Nashville centric, music.
Mhm.
And then you get a vote on your 10 and you send the ballot back in or whatever. It's all electronic. But then, so it's like, to me, that's like the coolest award, really, or one of the top awards you can win, because like other professional songwriters are listing that as one of the 10 songs they wish they'd written. I'm like,
Yeah.
how
That's like
cool
a
is
that's like
that?
fan voted, like,
It's
or
not
not
fan
fan, but
voted, it's pro
peer
voted.
voted.
It's like your peers. Yeah.
Peer
So I'm like,
voted, yeah.
that's amazing. It's not, I don't think it's one of those that feels like pure. It's not, doesn't feel rigged by voting
Mhm.
blocks, or maybe not rigged, but just all the politics and vote. It just feels like it's writers going, dang, that's a great song. I wish I'd written that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's super cool. So these are all like really good songs. And so some of the things, should I just tell you what all the 10 were this year? So y'all should look
I'm
them up.
asking, I
Let-
wanna
let-
know, yeah.
all right, let's start off with that. Then we'll dive into it. Okay. So you have Antihero, Taylor Swift.
Uh-huh.
You have Wait in the Truck by Hardy, and Hardy performed that with
Lainey
Renee
Wilson.
Blair. Yeah. And Lainey Wilson. You have What He Didn't Do by Carly Pierce, Flower Shops by Ernest with Morgan Wallen. You have Thought You Should Know by Morgan Wallen. You have, let's see here, Give Heaven Some Hell, Hardy. You have Human, Cody Johnson. Tennessee Orange by Megan Maroney. You Proof by Morgan again. And then you have the song of the year was Heart Like a Truck, by Lainey Wilson. So written by Trainee Anderson, Dallas Wilson, and Lainey Wilson. So I did not know that, but Dallas Wilson is Lonnie Wilson's son. Lonnie Wilson's, longtime session musician
Yeah,
and
I use
and
Lonnie
writer
all the time.
himself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was like, gum. That makes me feel old. So those were the 10 songs that I wish I'd written. And of course, the one that gets the most votes is Song of the Year, which is Heart Like a Truck. So they going through the thing. First, they had an advocacy award for David Israelite, who's um, he runs the National Music Publishers NMPA association. So he does a lot of like fighting for songwriter rights in Washington, fighting against like Spotify trying to screw us over and anyone else who's trying to screw us over and not pay us. Like Israelite is a major player and a major advocate for songwriters. So thank you, David Israelite, for what you do. So it's cool. Brett Young sang Hallelujah, which is one of Israelite's
Mm,
favorite songs. So that was cool to hear Brett Young sing that. But anyway, these 10 songs, one of the things that stood out to me is a variety in these songs. You have like pop, like Antihero, which is a Taylor Swift song. You
mhm,
have new country, so more progressive country like You Proof by Morgan Wallen. And you have more like old school country like Flower Shops by Ernest and Morgan Wallen.
mhm.
So that was cool, that seeing that the writers see value in these different types of songs.
And I mean the Hardys, like what uh, Wait in the Truck. That is a dark story,
Dark
but
story, yes.
so good. You know,
It is
it's
so good.
so freaking good, and uh, I like that there's variety in there too. Like there's
Yeah, yeah, the subject matter, there's good
the
variety. You
subject
have
matter.
life songs, which are like Antihero, Human, which was written by, Tony Lane and Travis Meadows, and Tony got up there and
Mm,
sang it, and that's Tony's always cool. Um, you have Give Heaven Some Hell, another Hardy thing, so these are like life songs. You have
yeah.
family songs, like I Thought You Should Know, the Morgan thing, which, by the way, he wrote that with, Miranda Lambert and Nicole Gallion. So I'm like,
Oh
"That's a
wow.
room I wanna be in. That's
Yeah.
neat room." So Thought You Should Know is, it's a song to his mama. It's a love song too, but it's a song to his mama and stuff. So you have that kind of slice of it. But mostly it was love and relationships. No surprise there, right?
Yep.
Uh, Music is mostly love and relationships, but you have this other stuff that comes in there too, which I think is important to realize. Like, okay, stuff can be more pop, it can be more old school, it can be life songs, it can be family songs, it can be love and relationship songs. It just needs to be freaking awesome, you
Yep.
know? But it was good to see the variety in that. It wasn't all the same thing. I mean, the most common denominator probably was Morgan Wallen, to
Yeah.
be honest. He was on a lot of
Got
things,
three of
on
the
a lot of
he got
stuff.
30% of the awards. Oh my god.
Yeah, and, but there's a
That stuff
reason,
is
man,
so
he's
good
killing
though.
it.
It's
Maybe
so
he's killing
good.
it because his stuff is good, you
Yeah.
know? Maybe that's why he's killing it, because his stuff is
Yeah.
good. The professional writers go, "That's a good song." And you know what?
Yeah.
Those are good songs. So if you don't like Morgan, you're apparently not, you're kind of in the minority of professional writers in Nashville, or at least like his music, whatever, it's the song I wish I'd written. So, so that was interesting, just the kind of that variety of that going, you know what, I can write, if you write great songs, it can get out there, that's cool. Um, Another big takeaway for me was, and this is a tougher pill to swallow. So the first one, the variety of it is encouraging. Second one is a little bit more of a hard pill to swallow, but artist co-writes. 9 of the 10 songs on this
Mm.
list are artist co-writes. So y'all, you need to be active in relationship building, especially with artists.
Yep.
And because, man, most of the stuff just getting cut in the Nashville world, and I'm sure in the pop world and CCM world and all this stuff too, is our artist co-writes.
Yeah.
And so you gotta write just a great song. The one that wasn't was Human, recorded by Cody Johnson, written by Tony Lane and Travis Meadows. And sure
Mhm.
enough, I mean, yeah, if you're gonna figure, oh, who on this list probably wrote the outside song? Tony Lane, Travis Meadows. They're both amazing writers. I
Was
mean, everyone
Travis
on the
there?
list is. No, no, he wasn't there. He was, on the video. What the cool thing they did was they did a little video package before each song, like with the writers telling a little bit of the story, and then
Oh,
one or more of
awesome.
the writers would come up and sing it. So that was new. I didn't see that last time I was at this award show. I thought that was super cool too. So they were both there for the video, but apparently Travis, I don't, for whatever reason, wasn't there. So we got Tony Lane, which was awesome too.
Hell
But
yeah.
yeah, man, artist co-writes, like, start now before your friends are famous. They get a lot harder to get with once the rocket takes off.
That's right.
I mean, no joke. It is not for the faint of heart. And it's difficult, and sometimes even when I've had the situation where I wrote with people, but I wasn't like in the rocket. I was hanging on the outside of the rocket, and then maybe they even cut stuff. But then when the gatekeepers came in and everything else, you kind of, you can get pushed out sometimes.
Yeah.
And through no ill will of anybody, and I've mentioned this before on the show, but I was belly aching one time to, our friend Chris Oglesby when we were out in Utah, for the
Okay.
climb conference those years ago, and you're just talking about that kind of situation, how that happens. And he goes, "Brent, you just need to remember, they're not anti-Brent, they're just pro something else."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, that's a great way to look at it," and I didn't take it personally. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe sometimes you're like, "Well, why am I not good enough?" I've had hits, and I got a song I wish I'd written, award on the wall. Why you not let me write with so and so? And they cut the song we wrote. Why am I not good enough now? Well, it doesn't have anything to do with me.
Yeah.
They're looking over their own kingdom, their own, trying to grow their own thing. whether the gatekeeper's going, hey, we want this artist to write with more of our writers in house because we get more of the income, publishing money, all that stuff, or these are my favorite writers, I want to hook them up, or these are but they're not anti Brent. They're not anti you, whoever you are, unless they know you and you're a jerk. Then they might
And
be anti you.
those writers are getting booked. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they're people that are the publishing company setting up the rights for them.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, for like the
so
artist, because usually the artist will be signed to publishing somewhere, and then they're just trying to
yeah,
fill them up and keep as much of it in house as possible or on the
yeah,
team as possible. Hey, it's not like I said, it's they're not being trying to just screw you over. They're just trying to. They're not anti you. They're just pro something else. And so you need to be building those artist relationships now. And like I said, get them start now before your friends are famous. Is really the big thing. And I think we'll do an episode maybe coming up on artist co-writes and young artist co-writes. That's something that is on my mind a lot, and I think would be good to pop
yeah.
into. So a lot of variety, but man, a lot of artist co-writes, a lot of artist co. And another thing it tells me is that it's not enough just to write with an artist. You need to be writing great songs with an artist. I think looking back over my journey in songwriting, first publishing deal, Major Bob, it was just write anything, write everything, kind of write with anybody to an extent, and just not really targeting. This was the pre really trying to dial in on what's going to work on radio, all this stuff. And I had some success doing that. I mean, and got some cuts
There's still
doing that.
a lot more outside cuts at that time too, right?
There were more of them. And so I just write. And the second pub deal, I was like, I need to be like, I'm starting to dial in more like I need to be writing, doing more artist rights because that's where things are moving. And getting with who I could get with that was a bigger name, but then also like writing with baby artists. But part of what the journey I had to go on was like, not every baby artist is going to grow up.
Yeah.
And I don't write my best songs or their best songs with every baby artist. Just because they say they're an artist, after a while, that's not exciting anymore. And I think most of the world is not that exciting to them anymore now. But back then, it was like a little more like, oh, maybe they'll get something. And I didn't do the math in my head in a way on where I should be placing my bets and my investments. So I wrote a lot of mediocre songs with a lot of baby artists that didn't go anywhere. And
Yep.
so that doesn't mean just because they say they're an artist and they say they want a record deal doesn't mean they're going to get one. And just even if they're really talented, doesn't mean they're going to get one. And you start looking for things. And then maybe something we'll talk about in that episode is some things to look for. But you do want to be, I mean, I'm still investing in, you know, I would like to call them rising artists, climbing artists that aren't the deal yet, but like I see good things there.
That's how you're gonna get in. I mean, listen, like nobody wanted to write with Taylor Swift back when she was
Yeah.
13 and 14 years old
Hmm.
with this record deal, even though Scott Borchetta's the label guy and he's got all kinds of connection. Nobody
Yeah.
cared except for Liz Rose did.
And now she looks
Liz
like a
Rose
genius.
said, "I'll do it."
Yeah,
Yeah, and
'cause, I
I
mean,
mean,
she wasn't Taylor Swift then, because there wasn't already a Taylor Swift for people to go, "Oh, yeah, that's gonna work," 'cause she was the first her. There had been young female singers that had done well. You had Leanne Rimes that hit really young. You had Tanya Tucker that hit really young, but it wasn't a thing where people like, "Okay, I see this. Let's rock this out."
yeah, because both of those artists who did hit when they were young also were singing like,
More grown-up
adult
songs.
content. Yeah, more grown-up
Yeah.
content, and to the idea that I don't think that country music was aware that there was a demographic of teenage girls
Yeah.
that like country music. Like, I don't think they thought like that. I
Like,
don't
there'd
think
been a
they
few that kinda did some of that stuff, but no one that ever really took off.
Yeah, and she really just created a lane for herself, but if
Mm.
Liz Rose didn't say, "You know what? Let's give it a shot," and then they found out, "Oh, this is good," because Taylor's a writer. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of things Taylor is, a lot of things Taylor isn't, but she is a writer, and she
Mhm.
was before she got there. Like, that's how she kinda got there to begin with was,
Mhm.
people don't realize she had a huge, MySpace following at, like,
Yeah.
12 and 13 years old because of the
Yeah.
stuff she was writing, so it wasn't by accident, you know what I mean? But she
Mhm.
took the chance when nobody else would, because they couldn't see the knee-jerk immediate return on the investment,
Yeah.
but look at what happened, you know?
Yeah, and so be thinking about that. Not that you're gonna bat 1,000 because nobody does, but think about it. So another big thing that happened was the Bobby Braddock got the, let's see, what award was that? The Chris Christopherson Lifetime Achievement Award. So he was a recipient of that at the award show. So it was really cool. It opened up with Sonia Isaacs and Jimmy Yeary doing an acoustic medley of some of Braddock's hits, like DIVORCE, Golden Rings.
Wow.
Super cool. I know Jimmy. He's awesome. And so that was really, he got to wear one of George Jones like jackets and he
Oh,
got it
wow.
from George's wife let him wear it, and so he got to raid the
Wow.
closet and where some of these George and Tammy hits. So super cool. So they opened the show with that. You had let's see, you had Garth come out and do the kind of the induction or whatever, and so that was awesome. It's always great to see Garth. And he didn't sing, but it's always cool when he's in the room. You had Tracy Lawrence come out and sing "Time Marches On," which is just a jam.
Mm, yeah.
It got yeah, it got Bridget Tatum's seal of approval. I want to talk about me. Toby Keith was there, and the room exploded when he walked out because he'd been
How
dealing
was
with
he
health
looking?
issues. He was looking thin, but he was there and he was singing. And he did it. And I want to talk about me has a lot of words. So I'm like, okay, as long as you're doing all right, because you got
Yeah.
have some, to get all that out. And so, yeah, man, it was everyone was just really happy to see that he was there, because we'd been
Yeah.
hearing about it, and so that was a big pop when he walked out there. And then Blake Shelton came out and saying "He Stopped Loving Her Today." So I'm like, come on, Blake Shelton singing "He Stopped Loving Her Today" at the Ryman. That's some
Forget
country music
about it.
gold right there, baby.
Wow.
Yeah. So good. And so, then Bobby got up and gave his, acceptance speech and everything. And so a couple takeaways for this. One thing, just amazing longevity. Bobby's had like a number one hit in like 5 different decades. Like
Sheesh.
ridiculous, right? He
Cheese
is
and crackers, it's
like, what
ridiculous.
are you, yeah, okay. So, and Bobby, he writes a variety of stuff. Like you look at the stuff from like DIVORCE to "He Stopped Loving Her Today" to like "Time Marches On" to "I Want to Talk About Me." I remember when that came out. It's like the guy that wrote "He Stopped Loving Her Today" wrote "I Want to Talk About Me." Want to talk about I want to talk about number one. Oh my me my. What? Same
Yep.
guy. Same guy, right?
Yeah.
Just mad scientist over there cooking stuff up. And he also wrote "People Are Crazy" for Billy Currington. Beer, God is great, beer is good, and people are crazy. That's him.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, of course, that's a Braddock jam. He's had cuts by everybody. Um, so to me, that shows like you don't have to do just kind of one thing. Like go crazy, write all kinds of stuff. Write "He Stopped Loving Her Today," but then write "I Want to Talk About Me." Write "People Are
Yeah.
Crazy." Write this stuff. They're just all great for what they are. They're different things.
And they're
But
so
they're all
different.
great.
Rhythmically, they're different. Melodically, they're
Mhm.
different. There's no cookie cutter there. It's
No,
like it's so it's so unique.
yeah,
And story-wise, like it's so different. I mean,
it's not. There
People
a
Are
lot of
Crazy. That's a song about that dude getting the inheritance, right? Like
yeah.
from,
I mean,
from
you
some
have
rando he meets at a bar. Like it's bananas.
yeah, so, like, yeah, "Time Marches On" and "People Are Crazy" are more just, like, life story things. Like, "Time Marches On," of course, takes this long view of this generational thing of decades, and the way he just serves it up is just brilliant and succinct, and just it's great. Then you have a different way of telling story with "People Are Crazy," which is much more contained little short story, almost
Mhm.
an O. Henry type of twist at the end short story, which is just so vivid and so real. And then "He Stopped Loving Her Today," which is another story, which I'm like, how do you come up with "He Stopped Loving Her Today" as a way of saying he finally passed? He's
Yeah.
dead. He stopped loving her today. Like, oh, did they song title challenge that and go, no, 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 I got it. It wasn't because she cheated and caught her. It wasn't just because the fire went out. No, it's because he died. He did love her
Right.
the rest of his life. So instead of saying he died, we were going to say he stopped loving her today. Like, dude, like
So good.
that
It
song.
gives me chills. Dude, I got
Oh,
goosebumps just
like,
thinking
how do
about
you
it.
do that? Like, yeah, how do you do that?
Man.
So, my takeaway for that is one, I'll never be Bobby Braddock. But two, is just write all kinds of stuff. And that is inspiring to like write just whatever you write it great,
Yeah.
and be kind of fearless and do all kinds of different stuff. I think is really important. Let's see. Tim McGraw won the NSAI President's Keystone Award, which is really cool. Lori McKenna sang him in with Humble and Kind, solo acoustic, and that was really cool. It's just a
Mm.
great song. Tim gave a great speech. If you were there, Ashley Gorley won Songwriter of the Year. Shocker.
Doesn't it just have like Ashley Gore's face on it now? Didn't they just
It's
change
like
the
the Ashley,
statuette?
yeah, it's like the
Just looks
Ashley
like,
Gorley
here you go, Ashley.
Songwriter of the Year award presented
He's gotta
to
be
Ashley
sick of giving
Gorley by
speeches
Ashley
at this
Gorley.
point.
So he's probably up there just going, you know the deal.
It's just short and sweet. He walks out like, thanks.
Yeah. But here's something that was interesting though, is he said, he's been in town like 20 years or whatever. And he said like this past year was like his biggest year. I'm like,
Wow.
wow. Talk about no signs of slowing down.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's really good. The songwriter artist of the year was, shocker, Morgan Wallen. You can tell by all the songs he had in there. So that was all just really cool.
Hold on. What did Ashley Goldie write this year that came out?
So this year, man, it was, what did he write this year that came out? Well, he wrote What He Didn't Do with Carly Pierce. Let's see here. Looking through the list of the 10 songs I wish I'd written. He wrote Give Heaven Some Hell with Hardy and some other people, of course. And let's see. Those are the only ones that he was a writer on for the 10 songs I wish I'd written, but he just had like a bunch of stuff. He was like, She Had Me at Heads, Carolina, Tales, California. He was on the writer on that. He was a writer on God Gave Me a Girl by Russell Dickerson. So he was on a ton of like singles, and a few that were, in the award ceremony that night.
Wow.
But just keeping at it, man. Just keeping at it. He didn't know anybody when he moved to town, Then got to know people. People got to know him.
He knows about the climb. Not for nothing.
That's right. We need to get him on the show. Ashley, come on.
You need to get him on the show.
You're not hard to find. So another big takeaway for me was that per NSAI's motto, it all begins with a song. That's what it takes. If you write great songs and you get them heard, good stuff will happen, unless you're a complete a-hole. You have, and sometimes even in spite of that. But you have to respect the song. Like coming to events like this, getting all inspired isn't really going to do you any good if you don't write better and better songs, right? Meeting tons of people at events like this won't do you any good if you don't have really good songs to share with them. So you got to respect the song. You got to respect the craft, because it does all begin with a song. Tim twisted a little bit to say it all begins with a songwriter, and I ain't gonna argue with Tim on that. But songwriters write songs, and you got to keep working to get better, and to let people hear your work, show your work. Like back in junior high, show your work. You got to be willing to share that. And if you keep writing songs, keep writing better and better songs, keep challenging yourself to get better and better and better, and to keep meeting more and more people, then good stuff is going to happen. It's just going to happen. It may happen different. It's going to be smaller good stuff at the beginning, but hopefully that smaller good stuff leads to better good stuff as you.
Well, how about this?
Better.
If your goal is to be a hit songwriter, that's the wrong goal, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're always going to feel like you're failing until you get a hit, and it's going to make you sour. It's going to make you bitter, and you're never going to get the hit because the way you set the goal up is the wrong goal. If your goal is to be a better craftsman, a better, a better songwriter, right? Then guess what? You're going to be a hit songwriter by accident. Like that's going to be a byproduct of the right goal, because guess what? Today you can be feeling bad about how you're writing your songs, and tomorrow you can be like, you know what? I wrote that one better than I did the day before.
Yeah.
So I'm on my way. I'm making progress, and that's that every single day, every single week, you're going to have validation that you're doing the right thing, and that's going to get you closer and closer and closer to the byproduct, which is a hit.
Yeah, I read a quote the other day, and there's a Tim Ferriss book, Tribe of Mentors, and it was this is like a chess grand champion, But he said, to become a grand champion, you must already be a grand champion. Like in the way you do it. Well, it's kind of what I talk about being an internal pro and an external pro. The internal, the external pro is the guy that has the stuff on the wall and he's getting the paycheck, right? He has a pub deal or whatever. So the outward things that you point to and go, dude's a pro or that girl's a pro. The internal pro is what you have to become first. And that's when you have the work ethic. You got the chops. Your mindset is right. Your grind is right. That's the internal pro. And as a result of becoming an internal pro, you hopefully will eventually become the external pro. But you got to become an internal pro first. So to become a pro, you must already be a pro. But also trust the process. I have a coffee mug in the house that says, songwritingpro.com on one side, but the other side, it says, write great songs, build strong relationships, repeat.
Yeah.
And that's a process. Write great songs, write the best songs you can, build the strongest relationships you can over a wide network, and repeat. I have another kind of new mantra that I have on my board across from me, just remind me, winning songs in winning rooms. That's it. I want to write winning songs in winning rooms, whatever that song of the day is that can win, whether that's just like, that's amazing. I don't know what to do with it, but man, I love that. That feels so good. Winning rooms for different people is going to mean different things. It may mean, this is an artist. So if we write a winning song, this artist can take it to major streaming or radio or whatever, or the producer, or just somebody that I really enjoy writing with, that sort of thing. So for me, it's like, if I just keep writing winning songs in winning rooms, we'll win. So anyway, those are my takeaways from that. I thought it was really good stuff. And so if y'all get a chance to go. I think it's going to be on September 24th, maybe next year. Actually, let me look it up because they announced it. September 24th, or be 2024. The 24th or 24 will be the next one. So I'd suggest y'all go if you can and say hi to me. I'll probably be the guy in boots and a right hat.
Did you happen to see were the Warren brothers there?
No, they weren't there. They were on the video thing, talking to McGraw, for his award. But at least if they were there, they didn't perform. So I didn't see them,
Okay.
But yeah, they're a hoot. But that's it. Hey, as a way of helping you hopefully write winning songs in winning rooms, I have a free giveaway. It's called 6 Simple Ways to Make Your Songs More Commercial. And as my gift to you, just tell me where to send it. I send it to you. You can find that at 6 simpleways.songwritingpro.com. So 6simpleways.songwritingpro.com. You can also just find it through the website, songwritingpro.com. You just tell me where to send it. We send it to you. It's PDF download and just some of the stuff that I've learned just to help you kind of ring the bell. So that's it for me.
Well, killer guys, that brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. This podcast exists because we want you to win, y'all. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.